Hey, it's Steve Barcelo. I'm down at the shore here, actually at Wrightsville Beach. I've had a lot of people come through and been asking me questions about a lot of the upcoming UFO information that's coming out with Congress, and now we have some senators that are trying to block the Senator Schumer thing that came out. So it's just a lot of craziness going on. So I just did a quick search on the most recent UFO sightings anywhere around, the area where I am, North Carolina primarily, or southern Virginia, and this came up. So I came down here. It's off season, so I was able to get a room up here. I'm up on the 6th floor. I'm at the Blockade Runner Beach Resort, and it's at least cheap this time of the year. It's actually cheaper here than what I had to pay in Gettysburg. It's a nice hotel. Nothing, pretty fancy actually, a lot fancier than anything I need. All the fun stuff outside. There's like nobody here though. It's very quiet. The area I'm in is fairly populated. I wasn't expecting to be as busy. Last time I went to the Outer Banks, stayed at the Ramada there, and that was pretty vacant compared to this. This is just a much more congested area, but it's a nice area. Met some nice people here. It's definitely an older crowd, and for me to say that, it's an old crowd. Some of the UFO incidents, basically I've been just doing a generic lookup. Now, one of the older ones I found was Aurora, Texas. And that's April 17th, 1897. So that goes way back. Now that has to do with the craft that actually hit a windmill on someone's property. I'm not going to go into each story. We can do that another time. And then, of course, the big one after that is Roswell, which was 1947. But then again, Kecksburg, you've got Shag Harbour, you've got the Travis Walton incident, which actually I was able to meet Travis at the Crypticon in Lexington, Kentucky, which was a week ago, and we did the Pope Lick video there, the Pope Lick goat man, the train trestle. That was a lot of fun. It was creepy, but it was interesting. But it was really great to meet him. I wasn't even aware that he was going to be there. I don't know if I just missed it on the list, but I was able to talk to him. I actually went to his lecture, and then actually got to hang out with him in the bar the last night that we were there and just shoot the shit with him. Real nice guy, very knowledgeable. It was very interesting. I'd like to see if I could sit down and do a little interview with him too. That'd be great. We talked about it. I've got his information. I just got to touch base and figure out. I don't even know where he is. Other things that came out back, I think it was interview in 1989. I'm not sure if this date's accurate. I had a hard time finding it. This is Bob Lazar, and he came on and did an interview. He disguised himself in silhouette, and he referred to himself as Dennis, which I believe was some kind of joke about, I think his boss's name was Dennis or something like that, but came out and said that there was 9 alien craft and that he was reverse engineering the propulsion system, and it was just crazy at the time coming through. And I remember the story, and even as much as I love this sort of thing, thought it was kind of over the top. But now, of course, as you guys know, I've been talking about, we've had these, they call them whistleblowers. I don't know if that's really proper, but David Grush came forward and talked to Congress, and actually it was News Nation originally, and they did a really good job, and talked about how we have these craft, again, basically confirming a lot of the stuff that Bob Lazar said 30 years ago, I think it was, and just crazy. And then we had, at the Congress, we had Ryan Graves and David Favor, both U.S. Navy pilots, came through, and then of course there was evidence that they some of these TikTok things they saw. So just amazing stuff. Now, with all this stuff going on, some of the I find more amazing is the stuff they're talking about, interdimensional things. Not just, I remember somebody asking Grush about you saying that we have creatures from another planet. He said not necessarily, they could be from another dimension. And that just blew me away. It's like, oh my God, now we're talking about dimensional things. But apparently things like that have actually come up to light with some of these colliders they're doing. Like I worked at Brookhaven Lab, we had the small collider there, and I worked on the Star Wars project for quite a few years. But CERN's a big one. I think that one's getting a lot of the good data out of it, and a lot of crazy stuff coming out of there. But some of the things I'm amazed by with these videos, though, that they're getting out of these aircraft from the Navy and stuff that have been released, and God knows what's out there that not releasing, are these, what is it referred to? Transmedium. So basically something, an object that can be basically fly in space, in regular atmosphere and underwater. I mean, that's just crazy. And there's one that actually shows this thing kind of, cruising along the ocean, and then it goes in, it disappears, and after a while comes back out again, and then off like a flash. Just nutty. It's crazy. I mean, it's when people talk about the universe being endless, and that there's just all these, billions and billions of stars, that the things just keep on expanding, and it's just hard to wrap your head around that. And we grew up with knowing there's 9 planets and this and that, and our own little world here. We don't really think beyond it, and it's hard to wrap your head around just things like that, let alone life on other planets or dimensions, and possibly then things that are coming here. Now, what I've been doing is hoping, which the odds are so slim, to catch something unusual. Now, last night, by the time I got in here and set up equipment, I ran the camera for a while, and this camera is really not made for super low light. But if I got anything, I would have switched to something else. I brought thermal cameras, but I really didn't get anything out there. Got a couple of just, faint stars. The sky's clear. We do have a bright moon. I don't think it's exactly full, but that's kind of gives you a bit of light pollution, but it is off to the side here, thank goodness. So I'm going to try again tonight before it gets too dark. And plus, I've been filming during the day because these things do appear daytime. It's not just a nighttime thing. See what else I can pick up. I'm hoping by putting out a small video, and I'm going to do a little live one on the just off the phone, and kind of announcing I'm here, and see if there's anyone in the area that wants to talk about anything. So far, by talking to people, I'll be getting more people interested in the paranormal end of things. So I got that equipment too. I might try something here. I think this hotel was built in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what kind of history is here. I have to look that up. I'm here more just for the UFO end. But it's been interesting. I mean, I've printed out tons and tons of information of different places. So I want to kind of categorize this, and I'd love to go and hit some of these places. Like one of the ones I just watched a little documentary on was the Kecksburg in Pennsylvania, and that was that acorn-shaped thing, and that was definitely a cover-up. I mean, I would love someone to ask Grush about that and see if, what his reaction is, if that's one of the ones that he looked into. Because that was, that one, the date on Kecksburg was December 9th, 1965. And it's just kind of crazy. It's just, there's so many different things that have been documented. And there's actually some photos, but all you see from the photos that I've seen from the Kecksburg is more of a trail. So whatever that thing was left a trail, which is what these things they're seeing today don't. So if the technology's changed, but that thing was a burning, almost looked like a meteor coming in, and that's what a lot of people claimed it was. But other people claimed it made turns, which a meteor wouldn't do. And why would the government come in with the military and chase everybody off and wrap this thing up and take it out of there? And people talked about a blue light, which kind of fits with what Bob Lazar was talking about, with this static charge before these things got off the ground from high voltage. And once they got up in the air, it would dissipate. And apparently these things, with the way they operate, as you see in some of these videos and photos they've got up there, these things lift like your typical saucer. Now, we grew up with things flying like a plate like this. Well, apparently these things have anti-gravity, so they actually lift like this, and the anti-gravity generators are here, and they move this way when they really want to take off. Now, a lot of these things they've been seeing too, which is right off the ocean, probably a little farther south than I am here, I think, where a lot of the incidents are, but people have been seeing stuff here. Or it looks like a cube inside of a lucite or clear sphere, so, which is pretty nuts. And these things, they sound like they're approximately 8 to 10 feet in size. So, I guess something could be in there, a small creature. But I think more likely these things are going to be probes of some sort. And but how crazy is that? And these things are just like ping pong balling around and making right turns. And then, of course, the ones we had all the issues with. Remember actually right up off here, just a little farther down, South Carolina is where they shot down the Chinese spy balloon. Now, we had video and photos of the thing floating. People are aware of it. And I've been told by people that are in the know that they're fairly common. It wasn't like the government didn't know about them, but I think they were sending disinformation to them and things like that, which would be right up the alley. But anyway, so they tracked this thing. Too many people saw it, and it was shot down over the ocean. But they showed video of it traveling. They showed video of it being shot down. They had pictures of it being recovered out of the ocean, and then photos of it being, I believe it was the FBI, had it in some warehouse where they're disassembling the thing and seeing what's there and figuring out what they were doing. Now they had those other 3 items up over Alaska and Canada that they got shot down, and these are tic-tac shaped things. They, as people would say, they're kind of the size of like a big propane tank, 25, 30 feet, somewhere in that thing. No wings, nothing like that, no windows. Some people say they had like little tiny things that stuck out the bottom. I don't know what the heck those are for, but that's about the only things sticking out of these things that anyone's talked about. But these are shot down and nothing. No pictures, no video, no follow-up. Matter of fact, we had some politicians and stuff come out and say they were actually small balloons. And then we had generals come out and say, no, we're not saying they're small balloons. Matter of fact, we're not ruling out extraterrestrial. I mean, so that's crazy. So this whole thing's just been, momentum has been moving forward. And of course, Grush and them have come out after the fact there. There's just a lot going on. So I'm going to basically, I just want to shoot a little intro here, talk about what I'm planning on doing, what I'm going to get here, and I want to keep on doing more and more of these UFO investigations. I think meeting Travis kind of really got me stirred up, listening to him and talk about his whole thing. And because I remember the Travis Walton story, and that's, like I said, like 30 years ago. And apparently they had a movie on it, which he showed parts of that, very brief. And I don't remember any of the movie. I somehow missed it or whatever. But I'll have to try to dig it up, although a little bit I saw it didn't look particularly great. But it was just interesting seeing him. But the things that he was talking about, and here's someone that was literally, I don't know if you can call it abducted, but he went out there very brazen. I don't know if you guys don't know the story. Basically, it was they're a bunch of loggers, and they're out there working all day. And apparently, he was a pistol back in the day, kind of full of hell. You meet the gentleman now; he's very mellow. He even says that I'm not that person anymore. And so basically, they driving back there, wrapping up for the day, going down this dirt road, this logging road, and they see this bright light in the woods. And they pull up and see it, and he gets out, and everyone's yelling at him to come back in. And he walks up there, being the character he is, and he kind of stands kind of under this thing. And a light comes through, hits him in the chest, and apparently knocks him to the ground. The other guys freak out and actually take off and leave him. Not the kind of friends you want to have, I guess. But anyway, they're being smart and just being worried about their own safety. Well, they take off, but eventually do come back to look for Travis, and they can't find him. He's not there, the craft's gone, and now they have to go to the officials, the police, and say, like, we've lost our friend, and they tell the story of this UFO, this flying saucer. And of course, the police think the sheriff, whatever, thinks they're crazy. So now as it starts to go, and they're talking more, they're starting to think maybe they've killed this guy and left him dead out in the woods, and maybe they knew how rowdy some of these guys were at the time, being young and full of hell. So basically, I think it's 5 days later, and then Travis is finally dumped on a road. As he comes to and looks up, he sees this UFO above him, and it's kind of no crazy lights like he saw the first night, but it was illuminated. And once I guess it realizes like he's awake, it takes off. And he's close enough to town where he can look down the road and see lights from the town. Walks to town, gets to a payphone, and at this point it's a small town, everyone knows him. Makes a phone call trying to basically say, like, I need to call. I think he's calling his brother, if I remember correctly. And but basically the operator calls the sheriff and says, he's out there. They come and get him. They dust, fingerprint the phone booth. I mean, it shows how old this is, phone booth. And it was just kind of nuts, and it goes on from there. And as he talked about it, that he mentally was not prepared to help himself at that point. His brother stepped up. So anything that happened as far as interviews and dealing with the police and everything, he needed assistance. He was just so out of it, after this happening. Now, the way he discussed it, he thinks possibly they brought him aboard to possibly help him for whatever damage might have happened to him from whatever this beam did, whatever happened to him being below the craft. And then I guess he got him better and released him. And he says health-wise now, he's okay. And I don't know what his age is. He's got to be, I'm gonna guess in his 70s. And he's in good shape for his age, and sharp as a tack. But it's just another crazy story. And just to talk to this guy, person to person, it just really got my juices going as far as wanting to get more into this more and just track more. Now, I have some friends, I'm not going to bring up names and stuff, some people that feel that they've been abducted. And I don't want to put people on the spot because, you know, it's still that stigma. If you say you've seen a UFO, people look at you like you're batshit crazy, let alone you've been abducted. And then there are people that debate the abduction things, especially like where Travis is totally different. I mean, they're working, it's a group of people, they're in a truck, they stop, this beam hits him out of this craft and he's gone. A lot of people have these abductions that are at nighttime, REM sleep periods and things like that. So a lot of people right away, as soon as you say, what time did this happen? Well, I was in bed and it was this, and people just totally write it off. It was a dream, you were just, you know, having a night terror, whatever. And so it's hard. So to get the ones, I mean, you know, not that I want to stay away from that. I still want to talk to these people because there's so many similarities. It's just like, you know, the cryptic sightings. When you start getting people in an area that don't know each other and they're all having identical experiences and seeing things that are, you know, little things that are too similar. Like a woman in our town, Littleton, talking about seeing this Bigfoot walk off her property, and mentions that she could see the buttocks through the fur on the rear end because the fur on the rear end was thinner. I mean, little things like that just kind of like click, and that's accurate. That's the way things would really be if it's not a person in a costume. I apologize, I should have shut my phone off. And but anyway, it's just kind of nuts. I love this stuff. I'm hoping I'll get a couple of people here. I'm only going to be here one more night as it stands right now because we need to get back to the museum, although this is a slow time for us. That's why I'm trying to get out and do as much as I can. But hopefully I'll get some stories today. And so I'm going to put in some of the stuff I've got. I'm going to add to this later. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And once again, if you guys put comments in, if you have ideas of places you want me to go, I'm more than happy to do the research and see where any of these places I can travel to. Now's the time for me to get things out and shoot as much stuff as possible. And if I can mix things, all the better. If I can have something that's maybe got a paranormal twist with the UFO, or UFO with a Bigfoot sighting, like a pine bush. Perfect example. When I did the documentary for the Daily News and got the Shanley Hotel ghost story, which I got the Shanley Hotel cat up on the third floor, which I didn't even realize I had until a month later. Maybe I should stick that in here too. But anyway, I was talking to Sal, who's passed quite a while ago, unfortunately. But he was talking about Pine Bush, which is just, I believe it's a little farther north and west from where he was. But it's a hotbed for UFO sightings. And every time they had UFO sightings, within like a week or so, there'd be Bigfoot sightings. So of course there's that tie, and it gets into that interdimensional thing again. One of the guys in my group, actually I can, I don't know if I'm not going to mention his names, I don't know if he wants me to, but believes he had an interdimensional Bigfoot experience, and that was at Medoc Mountain State Park, seeing this creature walk across, he was across a river, matter of fact, Fishing Creek. He had his thermal camera. At the time, the thermal cameras wouldn't boot very quickly, so he just turned it on. Wasn't able to get it to take pictures, but he could visually see it. And this thing walks across and goes behind these trees, and it's gone, vanishes. And it's funny. The other day, I was watching one of the another podcast, and just kind of watching some YouTube stuff. It was a live one, Steve Coles, and so basically, I can't remember the gentleman's name that was on there. But they're talking to him, and he was asking if they believe that, Bigfoot's alive, flesh and blood. I think the way he termed it was, do you believe an ape believer or something like that? And they're kind of like defensive right from the beginning. And he starts going interdimensional and mentions this almost identical experience where he sees this thing moving, goes behind some trees, and vanishes. So I end up reaching out to my friend and saying, this is live, watch it, or watch it later and read it. It's your story being told by somebody else. It's almost identical. So there's so much out there. The more I get into this, the more I research it, the more I talk to people, the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more questions I have, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's just, there's so much to it. And there's just so many things happening here. So it's important for me to get out here, be boots in the ground, do the research, talk to people. I had a really good discussion with someone last night who's staying in a hotel. He might be around again tonight. And we just discussed a little bit of everything. I mean, it's so funny to sit somewhere and talk to somebody and that has, as well read into things as I am. I mean, as soon as he mentioned something, I knew what he was talking about. He was going, "Who's that?" That place, and I would just say, Travis Walton, whatever. Whatever story he came up with, I was able to right away pinpoint it, tell it, and even though I might not have had the exact dates, I was close. If not, I had I can bring my file down tonight. I'll make sure I have all my facts with me tonight. But it's crazy. I love doing this stuff. I hopefully you guys like watching it. Like I said, I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to keep this going. I'm here for another night. Tonight's going to be the night. Hopefully we get a little something here, and we'll see what's going on. Thanks for watching. Talk to you a little bit. One of the things that's happening today, which I found out after I started to record, solar flares coming off the sun. So we have all kinds of crazy activity. I'm hoping that affects things here. But unfortunately, clouds are rolling in, so we've got some things that are pretty much overcast. So I'm not sure what I'm going to get, but I'm still going to try. Hopefully get some crazy lights. We can still see things off the ocean. The clouds are pretty high. I ran into one person that told me a story. A couple of years old, they were sitting in a lifeguard chair on the beach, and in the distance they saw this weird light. This thing was very bright. It seemed to be just above the horizon on the water. They discussed it and thought maybe it was a boat light. And then later they're talking, and all of a sudden they noticed the lights moved up. So they're kind of talking about it, so that light seems to be higher, and as they're watching it bursts into a whole bunch of other lights. They move around, and eventually they come back into one light again and disappear. Unfortunately, she's trying to find photos because it's a couple of years old on her phone, but it was at least another story. Did not want to talk on camera. Little by little, people are coming forward. This place has been a hotbed for sightings for over the years, and I'm going to get what I can. But anyway, a couple little plug-ins I just wanted to do, talk about what was happening here. I'll get what I can tonight, but I'm going to put this video together, get it out, and give you what I got. And if I have to, I'll do video 2. Thanks for watching.